So can components generate noise? Have you guys ever had a component in the system that when it's on affects another component? Yeah? That's the whole base of doing the filtration and the isolated banks. So here we take a full system. We've got your Comcast box going in for coax protection, and it's isolated. Your router. Who remembers the model number of that Linksys router? Nobody knows that? WRT 540? Right? Okay. Sorry. I've put in hundreds of those. Then we get your phone. So phone connection. High current. First bank here is our high current devices. So we've got our AVR and amplifiers plugged in here. Gaming or any other device, Apple TV, what have you in the second one. Panel, power going to another one. Source component to there, and then audio to there. Each one of these banks are isolated, so there's going to be no crosstalk between the two. Yeah?
So if I plugged in an AM radio with one, and I plugged the charger in another, you can hear it in the AM radio?
I would be willing to bet that you will not.
That would be a good test.
I can't tell you the last time I installed an AM radio, though.
Yeah, I know.
I know. Oh yeah.
I mean, if it's good enough, then it would probably be good. That would be a test.
I did put, my father's a ham radio operator, right? He's in the Navy and he does Morse code, and when him and my stepmom aren't getting along, he goes down into the basement, puts his headphones on, and talks to people all across the country. He just did, you know. And whenever he'd have that radio on, every time he'd hit that key down, his TV in the same room, when it was a tube TV, you get lines. Sure as I put a Panamax piece in, it didn't do that. So that was like, you know, and I'm like, well, let's see if this really is doing what it's supposed to be doing. My dad didn't care, you know, he's old school. It's like an old tube TV. He's like, every time I hit it, the lines go across. It's like, I can still understand what's going on. I'm like, well, so we plugged that in, and that solved the problem with the isolation there, so it wasn't cross-talking. So we talked about qualifying with the customer. It'll help you determine, obviously, the number of outlets, what type of protection, and what type of filtration. So those, you know, a couple key questions you can feel out the customer and see where what angle they're trying to take with that. So then we go into product recommendation. So you pitched Panamax to them, and you know, he comes up and so here's the scenario. He's got an LCD with a ceiling mount and a DVR mounted on the back of it. Both items plugged into an outlet in the ceiling. If they wanted protection for this unit, what would be the recommendation? And I know you guys aren't going to remember the model numbers, but you remember the lines that we talked about. What would be a good recommendation for this scenario?
Just for voltage, you just change out the outlet.
Right. Do the outlet. There's a couple different. You could just do the Decora outlet as voltage. You could do this guy. We'll talk about this later because this is Bluebolt. Use a 2-gang recessed outlet, switch that out. The outlet like he said, or just do the modular piece, because this will give us coax as well. The DVR's on the back, you can run the coax in and 2 plugs and get protection. It's a $50 solution, retail. This is a no-brainer here. So customer home office here, got a PC, printer, router, Seagate, NAS drive. What are some solutions for here? This would be perfect opportunity for what? UPS, right. 5102 would be the best solution, obviously, but a better, more practical for a setup like this would be a $300 UPS. Same protection, same backup. If we didn't want the UPS, we could go with the M8 AV Pro, which is that floor strip with all of those features built in, the protection, the filtration, the protector disconnect, all built into a floor strip. What I usually tell people, and I got a picture here of one of the guys from the Geek Squad, you're in a house doing AV. Every house, most of them have a home office, right? I mean, how hard it would be to pitch a $250 UPS for that home office. Add-ons, and then that's your foot in the door. Talk about surge protection from everywhere. You know, the bedroom, living room, home office, UPS, even appliances. Appliances are overlooked a lot. A lot of people don't realize when a lightning strike, you have power surge in a house, your appliances get hit too. And you get a lot of these refrigerators now that can, you know, it's like they saw on the Starship Enterprise, you know, back where you could go up to the screen and watch TV, tell you there's a lot of delicate electronics in appliances now. So other than that, our website, you know, Panamax.com's got pretty much everything you need to know. Advanced cut sheets, some videos. There's 4 or 5. There's a few videos of me blowing up a Surgex power station that we couldn't put on YouTube. We actually got in trouble because it was on YouTube. We had to take it off YouTube. But it can be on our own site. But Panamax.com, there's some good videos, a lot of the literature. I'm going to take all the emails from your sign-in sheets, and I can send you links to stuff, cut sheets and everything that you'd want to. And then the last thing I want to talk about here before we get into Bluebolt is vendor warranties. So all of your manufacturers, when you pitch power to a client, you're going to say, well, the stuff has manufacturer warranty. If you look at every manufacturer warranty, it's going to say that it does not cover acts of God, right? Sony, and Sony is a big line, okay? So Sony's full line, acts of God are not covered. Lightning strike, too bad. You're out of luck, right? Does not cover damage due to improper operation or maintenance, connection to improper voltage supply, or attempted repair, which is obvious. So nationwide, we did a poll, and back in 2012, it paid out almost $1 billion in warranty claims for acts of God, right? Panamax is one of the only power companies that covers with the $5 million connected warranty on that. So whatever happens, any act of God comes, we've got you covered. However, the catch to this is our circle protection. So coax, data, telephone, and ground. It's all or nothing for our warranty claims. Basically how our warranty claims work, if your client calls you up and says, hey man, I got a lightning strike the other day, both my panels are shot. So you'd call Panamax, and Panamax will just ask you for a quick drawing of how stuff is hooked up. Submit that in, and then they want the amount and the receipt of the cost of the equipment, and they pay out the warranties. I've been to the Panamax corporate office. We have a warranty department where all they're doing is evaluating and cutting checks for stuff. Doesn't happen very often, but when it does, we've got no problem paying for it. The other thing is a lot of our units, they're sacrificial. So if we get a lightning strike, it's going to sacrifice itself to save your equipment. You call us up, we're sending you a brand new unit. It's for free. When it did its job, we're going to send you another unit, right? So we're very ahead of the curve as far as taking care of the client and the end user when it comes to protection. And then this, again, going what we talked about, my cable provider told me to plug the coax directly into the cable box. So certified partners, Dish Network, we're also certified partner of DirecTV now. So there's no issues with that. So that is the Panamax lineup. Is there any questions on that? We're going to go into the Bluebolt. This is much shorter. It's a little bit funner. I got some good stories with some real life applications with Bluebolt. But any questions on the Panamax lineup?
Why did YouTube make you take down that video?
Our old national sales director, his name is Jimmy Paschke, now works for Surgex. So he got a little. I mean, we would go to trade shows and we'd bring a 200 volt and we would just blow stuff up. We'd be at a trade show even a distribution event, a table event. If we got outside booth, and that's what you Panamax guys were always blowing stuff up, and people got a little, upset about it. Surgex tried to do the same thing with. Do you guys carry Surgex here? So I can talk about them all I want.
Go for it.
All right. I was at an Avid down in Chicago. They carry Surgex, and it was a Vendapalooza with all the tents outside. And the Surgex guy was there, and he had one of our 4315s next to their rack mount unit, and he was, blowing ours up and making it smoke and everything. And he didn't know that Panamax was going to be there. So I stand there with our regional sales manager, and I'm watching this, and he kind of looked up, and I introduced myself. I'm Jeff from Core Brands, and he didn't make the connection. I'm like, well, Core Brands, Panamax is one of our lines. And he got all like bent out of shape. And I said, I said, I've got a 4315 with me, and I'd like to switch that one out, and let's see you do the demo again. So they'd take our 4315 apart, doctor it up so it would do that in our demo. I grabbed one new out of our Vendo box, put it on there, nothing. Wow. It's just, you know. But on that site, there'll be some good videos of stuff blowing up. The Belkin power strip from CEDIA last year, you'll see that. And the guy doing it had a beard about as big as mine, and it damn near, you'll see it. You watch the video, it's pretty funny. It just exploded everywhere, and everyone was good times. Anyway. Yeah, he ended up having to shave. The whole deal with this is last year CEDIA.
How about you just show us now?
Huh? Last year CEDIA is me and another guy. He used to be the technical rep in this territory, Michael Williams. Does anyone know him? He does what I do in this territory, but he's no longer with us. We both decided not to shave until next CEDIA, which is coming up in October, right? Because one of the other guys had this big, you know, he was from Texas and had a beard. He looked like a ZZ Top guy. So, and that was the guy that did that demonstration. And he didn't burn it during that demonstration, but he had a grill accident when we were doing a dealer dinner in Denver. It was some restaurant, and we had a grill outside. We're flipping burgers and everything. He got a flare up in the whole side. So he had a beard down to like here, but after the grill incident, it was more like a... So as long as he was looking from this angle, everything was fine, but he turned this way then. Anyway, I don't know why we started. Anyway, so that's Panamax. Now we're going to get into Bluebolt here. And Bluebolt was designed basically to save, the original idea of this was to save you guys as installers or technicians from going out just to doing service calls. How many times have you gotten a call from a client saying my DirecTV box locked up, my Apple TV locked up, my Comcast, whatever, and you've gone there and just power cycled something? Has everybody done that at least once? Right? So Bluebolt, we came up with the idea of Bluebolt at first with just remote power management. So a client calls you up and says, hey, you know, my cable's not working. It's froze up. You would be able to log on wherever you're at, just take your phone, open up the Bluebolt app, find your client's profile on there, reboot the outlet remotely. The client, you know, okay, I'm rebooting, it'll be back up. Problem solved. You're not rolling a truck out to do that. So that's how Bluebolt started. And since then, we've added a bunch of different features into it. So we launched Bluebolt in 2010. And like we said, it was designed to just do the remote power control initially. So, and then we've added stuff. So we've added scheduling, so we can schedule outlets. We've added network pings, so we can monitor network devices, and when it gets a failed ping, automatically reboot that device. Email alerts, energy monitoring, and conservation. We're going to go over the features here. So again, case study, it started out taking the call out of the service call. So Bluebolt Mobile, we launched January 2014. And this is kind of a splash page of what it looks like, where you've got you log into your account, mybluebolt.com, you'd set it up with your email address, and then you can have different locations. So every one of your jobs, the Jones residence, the Smith residence, you log in, you see all those. You hit one of the residents, like this says JB's house, and then you see the devices there. There's your outlet control. This is on, off, and that's reboot, to reboot the unit itself. The PC software is much more involved. You have a lot more options here. So on your PC software here, device controls, this would be your home page. If it had a UPS, it'd give you your battery life and status on your UPS, your voltage, your amperage, and then you get your outlet controls. So these are all named. You can name these whatever you want, whatever's plugged into it, obviously, right? Then you have the ability to do power on and off, or one-click reboot, and it's going to turn it off for 10 seconds. 10 seconds later, it's going to power back on that outlet. It also has energy management. Now keep in mind that Panamax, we're out of California. So in the West Coast, power is a whole lot more expensive than it is here in the Midwest. So energy management is really important for them out on the West Coast. You can set budgets, you can type in your cost per kilowatt hour, and it can tell you how much money you're spending in electricity if you want to conserve or go green. Again, not a very big feature that's used here in the Midwest. But scheduled commands. Now this is a huge one. So anything plugged into the Bluebolt piece, and I'll use this 4315 here as an example. So we've got 8 outlets on the back of this 4315. Each one of these outlets is discrete. You have discrete control of each outlet. So on your user interface here, you'd see all of your outlets and labeled what's plugged in. But scheduled commands, so you can name the command whatever you want, and then you can choose your outlets, and then select your action. Do you want turn on, turn off, or reboot? Select your time, select your day. Who can think of a good application where you'd want scheduled like that? I can tell you of a big one that I do. What's that?
Oh no, like Wi-Fi for kids.
Right.
Turn it off at 9 o'clock automatically.
Right. You can schedule stuff for, timers for kids. I got a good story about that of my daughter we're going to get to a little bit later. But what I do at home on my own home system, I've got Tuesday at 3 o'clock in the morning, every Tuesday, power down my router, power down my modem and my network switches, and then turn them back on, modem first, 10 minutes later, then my router, then my switches. What does that do? I'm a big online gamer, and you're going to notice as your router stays on, it develops a cache inside of it, and your bandwidth gets a little bit bottlenecked. You reboot the router, you're back open. So I can do full out. I can get 50 meg download from Comcast because the internet out by me is blazing fast. But after about a week, sometimes I'm down to 30, 25, 20. A reboot of the router, back up to 50. So I've got that set once a week just to do automatically. Again with Apple TVs, same thing with Apple TVs. They'll get locked up. You got to reboot Apple TVs. So the whole point of the scheduling here is being proactive. Set up schedules for your client, your Apple TVs, your cable boxes. Once a week at an odd hour in the morning, reboot them. It'll keep them, it's kind of like maintenance on them. The other thing you can do is alerts, and this is really nice. So you have different types of events. It's always going to send an email alert to your account that you set up when you initially set up your Bluebolt account. But you can also send additional recipients, maybe the homeowner's address, and you have different events. So battery backup, over voltage, power loss, power normal, under voltage. What's the benefit of this? Say you leave the client's email off of this and it just notifies you. You get an alert saying under voltage at the Jones residence. What do? You call Mr. Jones and say, I just want to let you know we've got an under voltage, da 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 da. What does that look like in the client's eyes?
You're very attentive to things.
That's killer, right? You're being proactive, right? And if nothing else, it'll get you into the house again. Oh, I just want to come by and make sure everything's okay, blah, blah, blah. And then chances are they're going to say, I've been thinking about what if we do a TV in here or do this or do this. Gets you in front of the customer, but you're really just being proactive, right? And the customer's thinking, man, this is great. He's looking out for me. And then network management. This is one of my favorite pieces, and we just added this feature to it. So inside of the Bluebolt software, we have the ability to constantly be pinging a network device. So say your Apple TVs, you've got them on the network and you've got them plugged in. Say I've got 2 Apple TVs, one in bank 7, one in bank 8. I type in the IP address of the Apple TV, and then you hit test IP just to make sure it's a valid IP address on your network. Then you set your ping rate. Do we want fast, medium, or slow every 15, 30, or 60 minutes? You can have it send email alert on failed ping, and then you can tell what it to do, what for it to do, what actions to execute on a failed ping. So when an Apple TV locks up, it hops off the network. So if I have Apple TV plugged into port 8 here, and I'm pinging that Apple TV IP address, and I come back with a failed ping, I can have it reboot that out automatically, bring the Apple TV back online. No service call. The client doesn't know any difference. You're self-healing anything that locks up network-wise. I've got people that are using Bluebolt products just strictly to monitor the status of their e-commerce sites. It doesn't have to be a local IP. It can be a public IP as well. Does that make sense? Can you see some cool features in using that? And then we've got network auto reboots, which is the last feature in here. So in the event of a network failure, So when this Bluebolt piece does not see network connectivity, and by default it's 30 minutes, so it says how long should the internet connection be down? And you can go anywhere from 5 minutes to an hour. So by default it's 30 minutes. So let's say the internet's been out for 30 minutes, then what do we want it to do? We can have it reboot in sequence. So like mine at home, if the internet's out for 15 minutes, it turns off. I think I'm on bank 1, 2, and 3, which is my router, my modem, and my network switch. So if the internet's down for 15 minutes, it powers all 3 of those off. Then you can set time delays. So I have it turn on my modem first, wait 10 minutes, turn on my router, wait 10 minutes, turn on my network switch. What happens if you turn all 3 of them on at the same time usually? Right, something gets out of whack and they don't play nice together. But this is a set it and forget it. So this will happen automatically. When the network's down, it's going to try to resave itself. It's going to try to go through that sequence 2 times. If it fails on the second time then, it sends out your email saying network failure, reboot was unsuccessful. So there's 3 pieces in our wired solution of Bluebolt. The MB1500 we talked about, that's that UPS. So it's our flagship UPS with Bluebolt built in. Then we've got the 4320 Pro and the 4315 Pro. Someone take a guess at the difference between the 2 units because they look identical. One's for 15 amp service, one's for 20 amp service. Same exact unit other than the amperage rating. So if we look at the 1500, and we've gone through this, we won't do that again. The 4320, so it's got the surge protection, the AVM. We've talked about this till we're blue in the face. You guys all get it. Cable protection, telephone, LAN protection, 9 outlets, 8 discrete on the back and 1 on the front. Built-in sequencing on this unit. So when you power this unit up, you'll see the lights go across, turns on outlet 1, then outlet 2, then outlet 3. They're not all going on at the same time. It can be controlled either 232 or Ethernet. When you get these, there's a slot card that plugs into the back here. This is what enables Bluebolt. It's a little network card. It's got the MAC ID on the bottom. And it's as simple as, I had a sheet here. To enroll a new product, they made sure that, they give you this big yellow thing that says important, but the piece that you really need is this tiny sticker that's paperclipped to the big important sticker for whatever reason. So when you get a new product, all you have to do is simply just put it online. You go to mybluebolt.com and you enter in this MAC ID and the electronic serial number and hit find. It finds it, you name it, and you're up and running. That's all there is to it. This is hosted. There's no fee for it. It's remote hosted by us. So it's essentially all you're doing is getting it online, keying it up, claiming it, and naming it, and you're ready to go. Setup's a breeze. So that's the 4320. The 4315, same exact unit. That's this guy that we've got here, if you want to come take a look at it when we're done. And then we get into the wireless solution pieces, and these are fantastic. So we've got 3 pieces in total. The BB-ZB1, this is the gateway. So it's a Zigbee product. This sits on your network. It's $100 retail, so network connection, power, leave this alone. Then you have your choice for either an MD2 or an SP1000 for remote pieces around the house. The MD2 has 2 outlets with discrete control. So you have 2 discrete control on that. All of the surge protection, all of the Bluebolt features that we just talked about are on the wireless family as well. There's no difference as far as feature set from our wired to our wireless. Then we've got the SP1000, which is 2 outlets, no discrete control, so it's either both on, both off when you're communicating with Bluebolt. So if you think about it, you want to get this into a, Bluebolt, $100 for the gateway, and then you can put $50 taps around the house and have Bluebolt control and power protection other than a rack mount unit, so localized on a modular basis. So we talked about the MD2. It's the 2 outlet, 2 discretes, protector disconnect, so it has the protection that we talked about. It's monitoring your voltage, as well as all the Bluebolt features. SP1000, no surge protection, just your Bluebolt features. So think of this as just a smart outlet, right? And then the Zigbee bridge is basically just going to sit anywhere by your network equipment, power, Ethernet in. And then all of your other devices talk back to that gateway. The SM3 Pro is another piece that we've just came out with. And I can actually pass this around. This is one of my favorites. It comes with a mount. If you think about for behind TVs or local systems, it's got built-in 2-port Ethernet switch, 3 outlets, Bluebolt controlled on the back of it. The system triggers in for different sense triggers. I know a lot of you guys aren't doing automation systems, but we can trigger these to do power on and off. Automatic voltage monitoring, protector disconnect, ground fault, all of the protection in there. CAN mounts right behind the TV. This would be nice if you've got those houses where you got a smart TV on the wall and maybe you have an Apple TV behind it hidden somewhere, or a cable or a DirecTV Dish Network hopper. You plug in your sources there. You can still have remote access through Bluebolt if you need to power cycle any of them, and you have all of the protection. And then the 4000 Pro, which that's the one that they were blowing up the stuff in the video. So for $400 retail, you can get into, this is our entry-level rack mount piece. All the Bluebolt features. Only difference between the 4000 and the 4315 is the discrete outlets. So here you've got 3 banks. So these will be power cycled or turned on and off together, these and this set of 3. That's the big difference between the two, is the discrete outlet control. And then we do a price comparison as far as your outlets and surge protection. We've kind of already gone over all of this through the presentation, and I won't read through that eye chart for you. But we've got some interesting real-world testimonials here. I've got a dealer of mine out in Colorado. He does a lot of commercial work. They were in a chiropractic office, and they've got a lot of medical equipment in there. And we thought, hey, let's use Bluebolt. So it turns everything on an hour before people get there in the morning, and it turns everything off an hour after. So it gives it ample time for everything to boot up and everything. And the client's like, well, you know, what's it going to save? Your standby voltage. So he's adding up it's damn near $1,000 a month he saved from the standby voltage of his electrical equipment in his medical facility. And this is just doing the timing. This is just the scheduled timing here. You know, nothing special with the Bluebolt, only using a little bit of their features. Right? So think about it as a scheduled on-off for commercial environments. Second house, vacation home. If you want to know, energy conservation, turn things on and off, simulate people are home, for a house, vacation home that you're not there. Or if you're driving to it, you want to turn on all of the appliances when you're 2 hours out, so the beer's cold when you get there and whatnot. And then we talked about taking the call out of the service call. If you do Bluebolt and you sell it right, you'll never be going to a client's house just to power cycle something ever again. They call you up at 10 o'clock at night, you can be, I don't know why Project Runway just came into my mind. Is that what it's because my wife watches. Anyway, you just open up your iPhone, you get a call from the client, open up your iPhone, power cycle the outlet. Fix it without even going on a service call. So then last thing for Bluebolt, we're going to go over to a couple applications. So automation controller, I know you guys didn't say you did automation. I'm real big into the home automation environment. Killer for Bluebolt, because home automation processors, just like routers, they can take a reboot once a week, early in the morning. Clear out all the temporary files on it by rebooting it. The small media room. So if you're just doing a local system with a couple sources, you can put in an inexpensive Panamax floor strip and put in an SP1000 on there so you get the remote reboot. Network management. We talked about this, how we do auto reboot to self-heal the network once a week. Reboot your router, reboot your modem, open up that bandwidth again. Self-healing feature there. Homework time. if you're still rocking the old school Nintendo NES there, I got a story for that pertains to this. This was last year. I've got a 9-year-old daughter, so last year she was in 3rd grade. And you know, about 2 weeks after school starts, they have the parent, you know, you come in, meet the teachers, and yada, yada, yada. So I went for the parent night, and the teacher was saying, you know, is Anya, that's my daughter's name, is she sleeping good at night? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I don't see why not, right? I didn't think anything of it. And I was, you know, I was working late in the office one night. It's about 12:30, 1 o'clock. I come upstairs, and I see the glow of a TV on my daughter's room. As soon as she hears me on the stairs creak, you know, it goes blank. You know, the TV turns off, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, you know, I've been there, right? You're going to have to do a little bit better than that to trick me. So apparently what she was doing was she was setting her alarm for midnight. So after me and my wife went to bed, she's waking up. She's playing Minecraft on Xbox till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So I'm like, okay. Well, can you relate to that? Uh-huh. Well, don't do it on school nights till 3 or 4 in the morning, because you may get smart and do what I did to my daughter. So I put an MD2 behind her dresser, plugged the Xbox in and her TV in. And sure as hell, it goes off 8 o'clock at night. And it doesn't come back on again until 11 o'clock the next day during the school day. Right? And I've got it set differently for the weekends. You know, she could stay up till 10 and play. But, you know, she'll get pissed. There have been times where she's, on the weekday, she's playing. I'm like, Anya, you got 5 more minutes. Better save it. It's going to go off 5 minutes. No, it's not. And turns it off. That's what I was going to get at. I mean, sooner or later, she's going to be like, wait a minute. She's going to go behind her dresser. But what'll happen when she unplugs it, I'll get a notification. So I'll get her either way, right? So that's, you know, homework time with the scheduling feature on that. Another good one, fridge and freezer alert. How many of you guys have a secondary freezer in the basement or something, right? Got another good story about this one. It was last year at CEDIA. My wife is into the organic grass-fed meat, so me and a neighbor bought a cow and had it. But we did, you know how you can, the butcher prepares it and we split the meat. I've got everything in the freezer downstairs in the basement. So I leave for CEDIA. We did this, picked it up from the butcher, threw it down there, and I leave for CEDIA. I was there for 3 weeks. I get back from CEDIA, and the wife's like, hey, you know, let's make some steaks. Why don't you go downstairs in the basement and grab some steaks, and we'll fire them on the grill. I'll thaw them out. My basement is not finished where this freezer is, so guess who never goes down in the basement because it's unfinished? My wife, right? I mean, there's something like, if I want to hide something from my wife, I can just put it anywhere in the basement. She won't go down there. So I go down there and I go down to the door, open to where the freezer is, and there's 2 lights on the freezer that are usually on. They're not on. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, what are the chances that maybe just the lights went out? It's still cold in there. So me, not thinking anything, I open the door of the freezer. So 3 weeks room temperature frozen meat that has kind of turned into some sort of liquid. It was, you know, I opened up and immediately just was like, you know, had to close it. And anyway, so end result, it was plugged into a GFCI outlet, and that tripped for whatever reason. I lost it. And it was also the same outlet that one of my sump pumps was on. And thank God it didn't rain. So now what I've got is, I've got an MD2, my freezer plugged into one side, my sump pump plugged into the other. If there's any other problem with the power on that, I'll get an alert. So there's a ton of different applications for this, sump pumps in homes. You can get the gateway, it's $100 retail, and one of those small taps for $50. Put one of those at each sump pump or utility location. If there's any problem there, you know, you'll get notified, the client will get notified. An additional selling tool for Bluebolt. Vacation home, we talked about that, how, especially if it's home automation on the guest house. If it's a 6-hour drive out there, on the way out there, you can turn on the lights, turn on the HVAC, turn on the fridge, turn on all the utilities. Fish and lizards, the guy that actually made this slide is real big into fish. Anyway, have you guys ever seen that show, the guys at Fish Tank Masters or whatever, the tank, is that what it's called? The heavy set guy, real loudmouth, and he does a lot of cool. But think about, I mean, using Bluebolt just for scheduling, for the heat, the filter. I mean, there's a ton of different applications for Bluebolt. And the last one is my favorite one, holiday lights. I mentioned earlier, Christmas in my house is really big. The only thing that's bigger than Christmas is Halloween. That's our favorite holiday, but Christmas is the second one. And after December, you know, January, February every year, my wife will go out and buy, you know, all the closeout deals. So I've got probably 20 lit up wreaths with a house that only has 10 windows. You know, tons of Christmas lights, the villages, everything. And I used to have to go around with the kids and plug everything in at night and unplug everything. A lot of times that would correlate with a football game that I would be involved in watching. Chicago Bears fan, unfortunately. Yeah, well.
Go
Packers.
Packers. Forget a piece from Wisconsin.
No. I had a real in-depth, you know, I did this training at the Wisconsin location on Tuesday, and there were some Packers, and they were getting like, a couple of the guys were getting a little sassy with me. And we were talking about, because it's a season opener, Bears-Packers, you know. Yeah, and I'm like, okay, you know, like let's exchange phone numbers. I'll text you every time that, anyway. So, you know, holiday lights. You put one of the Zigbee gateways up and put an SP1000 around in different areas. And you can have, because lights are LEDs, you can have 5, 6, 7, 8 things piggybacked on one SP1000. Have it timed. Or if, you know, what happened with me is I'm in the middle of a football game downstairs in the basement, got some friends over, and the wife knocks on the door and says, "You're going to turn on the Christmas lights, we got people coming over." And I'm like, "Yep, I sure can." Pull out my iPhone. All right. Set it and forget it. So either scheduling or remote control on it. So there's 100 different uses for Bluebolt. And that's our presentation. Any questions on Bluebolt or the Panamax? The Bluebolt is really, if it's something that you guys haven't considered looking into selling, the wireless pieces, start off with a modular system. Start off with the $100 gateway and an SP1000 unit or smart switch or an MD2. And usually if you give a client a taste, you know, and you can always add on. You can have 16 pieces on one gateway. And for those of you guys that are doing the bigger AV jobs, the rack mount units, it's a killer feature, not only just for all the power protection and everything, but the Bluebolt. Once you guys get used to using it, it's hard to go back from. It really is.
Any way I can get a printout of that so I can have everything documented? So, because eventually I want to use some of that stuff.
Yeah, a copy of the PowerPoint. Yeah, if did everyone sign in the front? Because I'll take a copy of the email address list for that, and I'll send you guys. I can send everybody a copy of that. Send a Dropbox folder with everything in it, all the material from everything that we discussed today.
Then I can just, my freezer, okay, what should I use?
Yeah, and it's a good point of reference for that. Definitely, it'll help you guys choose which piece is needed in what application.
You know, a few years back, I had a DirecTV dish put on my roof, which was a mess, but he insisted that I not plug the box into a power strip or surge protector or a UPS. I mean, it had to be, he said it has to be plugged directly into the wall. And I says, well, what happens if it gets struck by lightning? He goes, oh, we'll replace it. Which I didn't believe, but
That's not a valid, I mean, unless it was using, did DirecTV ever use power line communication, where they were talking like box to box through the,
no.
I
It's all coax.
yeah, I would always, you know, the house,
And he was insistent. He said, if we find out that it's not plugged in directly to the wall and something happens, then it's on you. Well, that's the exact opposite of what I'm worried about.
no, yeah, and then for them to say, well, we'll just replace it every time it gets struck by light, I mean, that's not a,
You know how long that would take?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, satellite dish didn't last long because, you know, you can't see it in the weather.
Yeah, it gets cloudy, then you lose your, right? Knock on wood.
I want to watch TV when it's raining.
I want to see what's coming at me.
All right.
Tornado missed me a couple years ago by a block and a half, so I want to know when that crap's coming.
Yeah. We just got hit. I was driving, I visited a dealer in Peoria, Illinois, which is about 2 hours south of where I'm at, and on the way home, tornado warning, and it had one probably about 200 yards to the left of the highway I was on. Saw it come down, go back up, come down, and there's people pulled over out of their car taking pictures. I'm driving as fast as I damn can. I mean, I'm not going to stop, and although I was trying to, like, as I'm driving.
At the speed of light.
Yeah, but no, I mean, tornadoes are, I mean, that's no joke. Right? I live in Plainfield, and that's Tornado Alley down in Illinois there, and this year's been bad. We've had, the Coal City, Braidwood, all those surrounding cities just got demolished. We've had 4 or 5 big tornadoes in the area over the past year. And again, with the tornadoes, the power surges, all my dealers, they've been lost so much equipment to the lightning strikes this year because it's been a brutal year. Needless to say, they weren't plugged into Panamax, even though.
St. Louis, it was the wettest June on record and the second wettest month ever.
Really?
Yeah, it rained all month.
A lot of flooding.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's been a rough one. Hopefully
A
it'll.
whole lot of lightning, but you know it had to be out there.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, hopefully that'll mean we have a light winter. We'll see. That's what they always say. But unless there's any more questions, thanks for coming, guys. Make sure you grab a sample to bring home and play with if you didn't get one already. And I've got a stack of cards here. Feel free to take one if you have any additional questions.
If there's any